and welcome to the Presenter Mastery Podcast. I'm Lucas, the amateur.
I'm David, the expert.
And together, we're your weekly guides to unlocking the power of presentation skills. And today, we are talking about a subject dear to Mr. David J. Phillips, the expert's heart. One that he propelled his career and one that just has made a lot of impact for people, including me. Knowing this, I had a very interesting experience just a month or 2 months ago. I have 3 kids, as you know, and after summer, school starts, and I, with 3 kids, attended 3 wonderful PTA meetings. The ones where you're supposed to just know everything about what's coming up in the school, what's coming up this year, and everything. So, it all began with coming in. We were about 100 parents in each of these meetings. And the light in the room is just a little bit dimmed down. I can hear a buzzing sound, you know, the electrical sound from a PA system that's on and something is not really right. It's slightly in the background getting into my ear. And then everyone sits down. There's no popcorn to this PowerPoint feast that I'm going to get. And then they start, and the first thing that they say is, I don't really need this microphone, right? You guys in the back, you hear me all right? And someone's like, oh, can you speak a little bit louder? Yeah, yes. And then carry on. And it's slide after slide with bullets, reading from the screen. The room just feels more and more tired for each and every second that passes by.
I think I need to leave. This is torture enough for me, man. Take it easy on the details. Jesus.
Yeah.
Honestly.
This is the information that I receive in the way that I received it. And I know you had a similar experience. And I was sitting there together with, well, in the end, 300 other parents. And I know that these are just my classes. My kids go to the biggest school in the area. So it's in every grade, there's 4 classes and it's 9 grades. So that's a total of 36 classes and 36 PTA meetings with 100 each. So 3,600 parents, something like that. That's a lot of impact.
That's horrid.
With the way that we handle.
I thought this was going to be a positive podcast. You're bringing the mood down, man. This is going to give the listeners PTSDs.
Well, I'm sorry if it does,
Ugh.
but obviously this is the situation. This is how it's done.
Yeah, it's true. And here I think I was saving the world. The talk has 5 million views, you know.
Yeah.
I hope it's had some impact somewhere.
I think it does.
You think so?
Yes. But maybe we need to break down perhaps what should go into a PowerPoint. I know I've created multiple PowerPoints. I was not a public speaker, or I guess in a way public speaker. I was a lecturer when I worked within the municipality. We talked about service, about, what was it? Service and approaching other people. It had the most wonderful acronym. It was Service Without Borders, which in Swedish is acronymed SUG, which means suck.
Fair.
And it was
fair abbreviation. Yeah.
But it was really fun, and I did a lot of presentations. And I had a colleague. We did them together, and she came to me and said, "Oh no, have you seen Death by PowerPoint? Do you know who David J. Phillips is?" And I think that was the first time I actually heard your name and was introduced to what you were teaching. And I said, "No, I don't. Can you please describe to me what is the thing that you want to do?" Oh, we need to redo our whole PowerPoint. And I was intrigued because I was the one that came in with some design ideas. I made colors, I changed things, I removed stuff. I thought this was amazing. And then she said, no, we have to get things, they need to turn black. I was like, black? Why? No, a blank screen. That's really, really, really important. And she started just removing slides with the information that I needed to remember what I was going to say. And I don't think I'm alone in the world with needing the PowerPoint to remember everything. But it all suddenly was, every other slide was black. And then, well, the notes were in the notes section, obviously. But it became a little bit harder to do the presentation. And I assume that we did some errors in this process. So would you like to share how you view PowerPoint?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's go there. And I love PowerPoint. It's a bit of a mistress of mine. I passionately enjoy slides because I think they bring massive value to the audience, but to a very limited degree when it comes to the number of slides. Like literally, I heard one of our presenter mastery coaches last week who spoke to a person. I think they actually signed up to Presenter Mastery, and that makes sense because I think they mentioned that they had 700 slides in their deck. I think that's a record. So my perspective of PowerPoint is that it's amazing if it's used to enhance what's being said or amplify what's being said or clarify what's being said. If whatever you're doing fulfills any of those three, hey, go ahead and use PowerPoint, But most commonly, PowerPoint is used, I think, to just be of help for the presenter to remember what they're supposed to say, or because somebody higher up in the hierarchy said that we need to have these slides and we can't deviate from that, for instance. So yeah, conclusion is this: use PowerPoint, but use it sparsely. Use it to amplify, enhance, or clarify what you're saying. That means that about 10% of a presentation should be PowerPoint. That's what I would go with. And
that's interesting. With 10%, that sounds so small to me. I would say if I was asked to do a presentation, the first thing I would think of is, what will be put in my PowerPoint? I think that's one of the first go-tos I have when it comes to just like, let's create a presentation.
I think that's a human reflex by now.
Yeah.
30-minute presentation equals 30 minutes PowerPoint. No, it doesn't. Like, that's the first takeaway you as a listener should have from this episode. And that is that 30-minute presentation equals maybe then 3 minutes of PowerPoint. Or let's be fair, let's give them 8 minutes of PowerPoint. And you start the presentation by telling a story, for instance. Then you move over to a flip chart. Then you combine that with a quick PowerPoint. Then you move back to a question to the audience. You have a quick dialogue with somebody in the audience. You move back to a flip chart, tell another story, use PowerPoint again. Now you bring out some props on stage and you go, ba-ba-bum, ba-bum, bum, look at this, ta-da, you're on stage. And then another PowerPoint. And now suddenly, out of nowhere, you bring up a second presenter. And this is what the presentation is about. A combination of aids in order to bring out the best possible solution for the audience. That's it. Yeah, that's my stance on PowerPoint. It's probably, as you said, nothing that most people do, but it's just the best start to begin there.
Yeah, definitely. I wouldn't. I guess what you're saying is the presentation is really like the subject, the thing that you want to say.
Yeah,
but we all, not all, but me and I guess a bunch of the people listening to this just start off with the presentation, the PowerPoint. Like, what is the beginning? I would pull up the slide, write the subject line. It's like writing an email.
Yeah.
How do you go about, like, when you start doing a PowerPoint? Where do I begin then?
And by the way, that's a brilliant thing, actually. Do that. Do all your slides, Lucas. Please. You represent the amateurs of PowerPoint building, right?
Yeah.
Just build all the slides in PowerPoint. The start, the middle, the finish, every single one. Your presentation can contain 100 slides, but don't necessarily show them to the audience. Instead, flip your computer around, have the screen in front of you, look at your slide, and maybe your slide then contains 4 important numbers. Now you grab your pen, move over to the flip chart, and you draw these 4 numbers. You write them down. You work with the numbers on a flip chart. This creates so much more dynamics in your voice, in your body language, in your interaction with the audience. That's actually how I'd say that I started my career. I built my courses in PowerPoint. I flipped the computer. I looked at the screen. I looked at the slide. I translated onto whiteboard or to flip chart or other aids. And I clicked on the button and I came to the next slide and then I translated that. So it's a brilliant strategy. Today, I'd say that the way I go about it is that when I build a PowerPoint, first of all, I spend some time writing down some ideas for it. So I kind of brainstorm with myself for maybe a week or two, maybe a day sometimes, I don't know. So I got those jotted down into Microsoft To Do, and then I sit down and I write a script, more or less, in Word. Like, this is what I want to say. Not maybe word for word. If it's a super important one, yes. Not so important, not word for word, but at least bullets, in Word. When I've done that, then I ask myself, how do I convey this message most efficiently? Well, the start is obviously PowerPoint, but this one's it's way better to have a metaphor in the second section. And this third section, definitely better with just a dialogue with your audience and so on and so forth. So it would be, PowerPoint would be like the third step, brainstorming, Word, and then move some stuff into PowerPoint. That'd be...
yeah, that makes it a bit easier. In my mind, seeing it in front of me, I have a presentation to do in 2 weeks, and I've been thinking of how do I want to build it?
Yeah,
and it makes sense to do the script first.
Yeah,
and then what was the second thing?
The script?
No. First was the to do, and then the script, and then the PowerPoint.
Yeah, or other visual aids or aids.
Obviously,
yeah. What's the worst PowerPoint you've ever built?
The worst I've ever built must have been one of those with a lot of text.
Yeah,
where I could feel that I put so much energy into the text and the bullets that it all was there.
Yeah.
So I didn't really need to deliver anything. It was just basically I could have just sent this out as an email instead.
Yeah. I think that's an issue there, because what you did was more or less like documented, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's a question I get a lot of the times, in our company, we moved away from presentation or PowerPoint being a presentation tool to a documentation tool, so that people, if they cannot attend to the meeting, they can be sent the PowerPoint. Isn't that great, David? And I go, no, that is the opposite of great. And they go like, oh, well, yes, we do know. It is very tedious and very boring. Do you have any ideas for us? And I go, absolutely. Don't use PowerPoint as a documentation, but use this instead. Use the PowerPoint for the presentation and add whatever you need to add in the notes. Like, use that as an added documentation to the slide. There's a second one as well, and I love this one. And it's called the dual slide technique. It's invented by me.
Sounds nice.
I am the expert of this program, right? All right, it works like this. So every other slide is a documentation slide. So imagine this, that slide 1 is a presentation slide. Slide 2 is the documentation version of slide 1. And then slide 3 is the presentation slide. And slide 4 is the documentation slide of slide 3. Now you simply click on number 2, number 4, number 6, number 8, number 10, and you hide them. And now you present the entire thing as if you're as awesome as you are. And when you send the slides off, you now have a documentation slide to each of the slides. So you win in every aspect.
I guess that makes it easier as well to just build a PowerPoint, because you could then start off with the documentation, what you really want to do, and then you can just think of, in the days before doing the presentation, okay, how do I actually make this interesting? How can I enhance the message that I want to say on these documentation slides, and then put in the other one?
There you go. Now you're thinking, not as an amateur, but more of a
I'm a semi-professional,
intermediate PowerPoint professional. Yes, nice. Yes. But I'll tell you what. One of the I think a big problem with PowerPoint is that it's kind of one of these blankets that kids have. Like when they're small, you give a small child a blanket which they can go like, I miss my mommy. And then they hold that. I don't know what you call that in English, but like whatever, comfort blanket or something like that. I think that's a problem because I have in so many occasions coached my participants in going like, okay, remove your entire PowerPoint. Now do that on a flip chart instead. And they're like 100% better straight away. Because we're so addicted to the idea of saying what's on the slide that we lose our personality. And honestly, it's a problem of mine as well. Like one of the like at least top 10 performances I've done was this time I was on stage. It was a fairly high stage, which is relevant in this story. It was about 90 centimeters down. Okay, there was no table on stage, which also makes this story more interesting. Because where should I put my computer, right? And I put it on the side of the stage, at the very like edge of the stage, so I can see from wherever I am. Hook it into the HDMI cable, and then I leave stage, and the moderator goes, and on stage we have the one and only David J.P. Phillips. And I run in, and I'm like all excited. I stand close to the edge of the stage, and I do what I always do. I walk up, I open up my arms, and I go, it's a pleasure to be here. Hello. And I kick my computer off the stage. And I remember looking down and I can see myself hitting the screen of my MacBook Air, which then comes to life, of course. And it does this flipping. It like flips over and propels itself down towards the floor, and everything's going in slow motion. And I can hear the audience going, and I'm looking at this thing going, and, computer could make it, but it didn't. No. It landed in the worst possible way, like screen and keyboard down, and it just cracked. And that's not very good, especially as I had a 20-minute presentation to do. So what I did, I just ripped out a flip chart, put it on the middle of the stage, and I did my entire presentation on the flip chart instead. And it was fantastic, a top 10 performance. I let go of my PowerPoint, and boom, I was a better version of myself. I think there's no other tool on this planet that makes a person a worse presenter than PowerPoint. You can quote me on that.
Good. I can just see this computer flying. It's,
yeah.
If that would have happened to me, I would have stressed the hell out of myself. Yeah. I don't know what I would have done.
No, it was a fun challenge.
Yeah.
So you've seen the Death by PowerPoint TED Talk.
Yeah.
Which do you think is the most important takeaway? Besides the black screen, because you've kind of already mentioned that.
I guess I like the thing where I still enjoy bullets, but showing them in a contrasted way to show progression. Mm-hmm. And
I enjoy bullets.
Yeah,
that's almost
it's very clear.
Yeah, I like
it's
such a fun word. Me and my wife went to London just recently, and we were going through the airport and the checkout, and I had a bad back, so she asked me, "Did you bring the gun?"
What?
Yeah, the massage gun for my back. But that's the same thing, bullets, gun, out of context. These words are very strange.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
I like bullets.
All right, so you like bullets.
Yeah. Yes. High and low contrast, that thing I liked. And
but why, I asked you what was the best thing with the TED Talk, and you go I like bullets.
Yeah.
What has that got to, what is...
Well, okay, what did I like most about the TED Talk? If there's an emotional question, I would say I like the start. I like the opening, where it's, why do we keep doing this to other people?
Yeah.
Is it due to vengeance?
Yes.
I like the cockiness of that opening, and that pulls me into wanting to watch it.
Yeah. That's a good attention grabber. Absolutely, yeah. It's a bit of an insult. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how people can be attracted to insults like that. But it's also, I guess, very insightful, an insightful insult. It's like, that is my behavior. Why do I do that? Please help me. But I assume the bullet thing that you were talking about is the contrast
yeah,
example
I think
that
so.
I gave?
Yeah, when you show it just makes it much more clear that these are the 6 features of this thing.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to walk you through them. This is the thing.
Yeah.
And it shows so clearly. What I like about the TEDx, the presentation in full, is it shows exactly like the things that you're saying. Okay, right now you don't know where to look, but when I do this, I know exactly where you're going to look.
Yeah.
And it's so intriguing that it's just my eyes are pulled in that direction. And then you show another example and another example, and it all just makes sense. So it becomes very clear the power of the PowerPoint that used correctly, rightly, then you can have a much bigger impact with your slides than you would have otherwise.
Absolutely, yeah. So to be absolutely crystal clear for you as a listener in this case, if you have a bullet list, you click that, you animate it, and then you go back to the effects of the animation, and you choose to grade the previous animated object. It's very easy to do. It literally takes you 20 seconds, 15 seconds to do. And then you can then allow yourself to walk through each of the bullets, and each bullet before that just becomes less easy to read, which allows us to focus on the bullet that you're actually talking about. So yeah, it's similar to voice actually, which is interesting because when you speak, we use kind of the same effect where we use volume increase. It accentuates the word. So if I say, Lucas, I love the hat that you're wearing, it matches your boots very nicely, and especially the color of your boots in combination with your hat and your eyes. Very nice combo. And when we accentuate a word with a volume increase like that, it has kind of the same effect as using the contrast effect in PowerPoint. So imagine using those in combination with each other. Power.
Unlocked.
Power. Oh, yeah.
New level.
Yeah. And then you add a functional gesture to that as well, and a functional movement ahead, and a sound effect where you go, having a look at the next bullet. That's one of the most entertaining things that we do in my trainings. I get people to practice sound effects in PowerPoint. Imagine one bullet coming up, and you go, check this one out. There you go. You got it.
Yeah.
Do it one more time. That's good. Yes. All right. So that's another awesome tip for anyone that wants to go from amateur to intermediate to expert. Add sound effects.
Nice.
Yeah. You're going to have board meetings all over Europe now where people go. And when you do a charts in PowerPoint, you do like a bar chart for Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. There's a beautiful animation called sweep in there. So add that one, because then that particular bar for Q1 grows and the bar for Q2 grows. Which sound effect would you use for that? Well, that's a very strange sound effect.
I don't know. Well, maybe it depends on the chart. I mean, it depends on what the context is.
That is true. It's actually a splendid sound effect. Well, let's have a look at Q2. There could be one. The one I was looking for, because the one that you just did is expert. That is like putting in your true emotion into a bar chart. Otherwise, you can go when it hits the roof, for instance. So yeah, sound effects. Don't know what I get into that, but it was a while ago. I did the TED Talk. It's 10 years, I think. Is it 10 years?
I think so. Does it say
is
2014?
10 years celebrate?
No, 2014. Is that the medical science of storytelling talk?
Nah, that's later on. We should check this up. We should celebrate this if it's the 10-year anniversary. A lot has changed, I could probably deliver pretty much an entirely different How to Avoid Death by PowerPoint today as a TED Talk.
I think it's interesting. I mean, we get people reaching out, wanting help with their presentations on a daily basis. And a lot of the people we talk to have found our world through that TEDx talk.
Yeah.
And still to this day, it's still growing, which means that it's still relevant. The things that, even though PowerPoint has changed, the features, everything that you can actually now do more than you could when you deliver that talk.
Yeah.
But it's still the same fundamental principles that apply.
Absolutely. And even more so, I remember when I did a lot of trainings on this, where people came to me and they said, "Oh, I've only got like Windows 2005 or whatever," and it was 2015 or something like that. So their version was 10 years older. I don't know the versions. I don't know them offhand. But then I looked at them. I said, "You have a great advantage, my friend. You're simply not allowed to use anything else but images, videos, charts, and animations. And that actually gives you the opportunity to be as good as you can be in PowerPoint." So I found that as PowerPoint included more and more functionality, PowerPoints actually became worse and worse and worse, because you had these technically inspired people.
The cube, and you can turn your PowerPoint around.
Oh yeah, and all the smart art and stuff like that. And people literally, they're paid to do this. Their job. They work in a company where they're paid to do PowerPoints. So obviously, if there's more features to put in there, you want to do that. Hey, by the way, I've got to share this story. If you were to ask me, what is the strangest PowerPoint story you have, David?
What is the strangest PowerPoint story you have,
David?
David?
Thanks for asking, Lucas. Thank you for asking. It happened, it went down in Stockholm. I was approached by an HR person who said, "All right, we're looking for someone who can teach our salespeople of eight people how to build great PowerPoints. We've seen your TED Talk. Would you like to come in with a tender?" And I did, and they got back to me and they said, "No, this is a go. Let's do it." They booked an entire day. I went there, and the entire thing started around 9 o'clock. I got there at about 8, just to set things up. I'm walking around there, and this man comes to me, and he presents himself as the CEO of the company. And I think he was from South Korea, okay? And the company was a South Korean company. And he says to me, "Can you come into my office so we can just check this and get this right and in line for the training?" And I'm like, "Yeah, fair enough." Having a chat with the CEO, getting some input on what he wants, perfect for me. I go in there. He sits down and he looks around and he finds his PowerPoint, brings it up. And Lucas, I had no idea what to do, man. I had no idea what to do and how to react in this moment, because he brings up an example of one of the slides that I have in my Death by PowerPoint as an example of what a PowerPoint should not look like. That's what he brings up. He brings up the most horrid, I'm not kidding you, it is one of the top 10 most horrid slides I've ever seen. He brings that up. And in all seriousness, he looks at me and he says, "All right, this is what I want them to do. They are not very good at PowerPoint. I want them to become better at PowerPoint. This is what we want."
So that was the end result, that he wanted you to teach them technically how to do.
Yeah. So I look at him, I look at his face, and I'm trying to distinguish if this is a joke or not. Like, he's obviously seen how to avoid death by PowerPoint, so this has to be a joke. There's no change in his facial expression. He seems to be absolutely serious. So I'm thinking, he's a good actor. I'm looking for a camera, because this has to be a setup. This has never happened to me before, nor after. And then it gets even worse, because then he clicks and brings in another object into the already fulfilled PowerPoint, which makes it even worse. But not only that, Lucas, the man had started to use, or was using, the sound effects of Office 97, which is the vroom effect of a car, right? This was a car company. So it goes vroom, 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 vroom for each object. And there were 30 objects on the slide. And he went vroom, 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 vroom on every single one. I'm like, how is this possible? And I look at that and I ask him to bring up another slide, and it's more horrendous than the first one, and another one, and it is even more horrendous than the second one, and I do not know what to do with myself. I say thank you, I leave the office, and my brain goes into standstill, because I'm like, I'm going to spend an entire day teaching them the opposite of this, right? And I don't know how to do it because it's against my morals, right? So I go into the conference room. These 8 people who are all from Sweden, I look at them and I say, I was just in the room with your boss, and I have to be frank with you. What he showed me was horrible. And they have asked me to come here to teach you how to build what I thought better PowerPoints. But what he showed me is worse than worse. I can't do this. So I can't stay here. I can't be here with you. And then they lean forwards and they say, we know, it's just a Korean thing. We actually get our salaries judged based on how good our PowerPoints are. They are part of the salary evaluation process. I'm like, what? All right, fair enough, I said. But then they said, if we show that to our Swedish clients, they fall asleep. They don't want to listen to us. So what we want from you, David, we won't tell the boss. We want half the day, please teach us how to build great PowerPoints, which we Swedes like. Then teach us half a day how to build PowerPoints so that we can get better paid. And that's what we ended up doing. Now, if that's not a strange PowerPoint training, meeting situation, I don't know what, man.
Well,
yeah.
Everyone was satisfied in the end, I guess.
Yes, everybody was very satisfied in the end.
Yeah, I've never used the sound effect.
No,
it never came that far.
All right.
No, I did use the cube though.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff, Lucas.
And it was very impressive to the people that saw it for the first time, which kind of, when you get appraisal for something that you do, it feels like you're doing the right thing.
Oh yeah, it's a great thing, man. I'll forgive you though. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Now I'm thinking that we should do a follow-up episode on this one where we go like, what's the latest thing on how to avoid death by PowerPoint, and just focus on that, for instance. This is like a basic chat about the talk and a bit of new input on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I the key takeaway for me from this was really just when preparing your next presentation, start with the to-dos. Yeah. Go on to do a script, and then a documentation slide deck to then creating the version that I'm going to present. Yeah. It makes it very clean, very clear, and I have a process to follow, which makes it way easier. Yeah. Because I think the hardest thing is just being asked to do a presentation, and the first thing that pops into your head is either you don't know how to do a PowerPoint or you want to do a PowerPoint. Yeah. Either way, whatever the thought is, I think the most common thing that pops into the head is PowerPoint. Yeah.
That is true. I like that conclusion. I'll also just summarize what I said about that a presentation doesn't equal PowerPoint. A presentation equals a combination of presentation aids. And that's like a key core takeaway as well. That's the most important thing to think of when using PowerPoint. There we go, man.
Right.
High five.
Thank you.
Well done. Poof. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.